Imagine if every single time you figured out a massive, frustrating new software system at work, someone just deposited $100 into a secret bank account for you.
Oh, man, that would be the dream, right?
Right. Or, think about the last time you spent maybe 6 months basically teaching yourself an entirely new compliance protocol from scratch just to keep your company afloat.
Which happens all the time.
It does. And it sounds incredible to actually get credit for that because normally you put in those grueling hours, you essentially take a self-taught masterclass, and at the end of it, there is absolutely no formal certificate to show for it.
Nothing at all.
You have the knowledge, sure, and your company definitely reaps the benefits, but you are left completely empty-handed when it comes to your resume.
Yeah, and I mean, it is really the defining frustration of the modern workforce. You're engaging in massive amounts of uncredited labor within this whole economy of professional development.
It's
We all constantly learn on the job, but traditional education systems, they just have no mechanism for capturing or verifying or rewarding that daily grind.
You have the skill, but you just don't have the receipt.
Yeah.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are looking at a system that is trying to build exactly that missing mechanism.
It's a really ambitious project.
It really is. We're pulling from a single, fascinating source today, the official FAQ document for a platform called the Think Plus Learning Bank. And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how this ecosystem is attempting to take all of your uncredited learning and turn it into a tangible, verified, and bankable asset.
Because what they are attempting is, well, it's a highly structured intervention into something we usually just treat as invisible.
Yeah, like an afterthought.
Right. They aren't just offering classes here. They are trying to fundamentally quantify professional growth so that it can be carried around like almost like actual currency.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
The basic premise of the Think Plus Learning Bank is that it operates as a modular micro-learning platform.
Micro-learning being the key word there.
Yep, and the core objective for you, the professional, is to accumulate what they call continuing professional development hours, or CPD hours.
Which is a pretty common term in the industry.
True, but think of it literally as opening a new bank account. But instead of depositing your paycheck, you are depositing hours of verified learning, which you then leverage to unlock major industry certifications.
What's fascinating here is the overarching metaphor the platform relies on. The FAQ deliberately states that they are moving far beyond the concept of a traditional school.
Oh yeah, they hate that comparison.
They really do, or even just a simple repository of online courses. They describe themselves as a living, quote-unquote, knowledge ecosystem.
I love that phrasing, knowledge ecosystem.
It's very intentional.
Yeah.
In this framework, every single hour you spend learning isn't just, a tick mark on a mandatory HR checklist.
Right, which we've all done.
Exactly. Instead, it is treated as a vital nutrient for your career development. They are employing this really interesting systems thinking approach where your intellect functions as a financial asset.
Wow.
And like any asset, it requires regular measured deposits to grow, compound, and eventually yield high-level returns.
So how does one actually use this learning bank day to day? Because if you were sitting there listening to this on your commute or, at your desk, the immediate question is how you actually start banking these intellectual nutrients.
You got to start somewhere.
Right. And the FAQ outlines a foundational three-step cycle to get you into the ecosystem. First, you register your current CV and any existing certificates you already possess.
Sort of laying the baseline.
Yeah. Then second, you enter a review and advice phase where their team analyzes your potential.
Mm-hmm.
And third, you use your newly accumulated CPD hours to unlock professional milestones.
That second step, the review phase, is a crucial diagnostic approach. They don't just hand you a massive catalog of courses and say, good luck.
Which is overwhelming anyway.
Totally. By requiring your CV up front, they analyze your specific professional background. Then they advise you on the learning pathways that align with your exact career trajectory.
So it's personalized.
Very much so. It is an advisory model, much like sitting down with a financial planner before you start blindly buying stocks.
Which seems incredibly necessary, honestly, because the scale of this ecosystem is massive.
Yeah.
And highly granular. I mean, we are talking about over 200 different topics available across various industries.
That's huge.
And they heavily emphasize niche curation rather than just broad strokes. For example, the document highlights this sustainable halal series.
Oh, that's a great example.
Yeah, that alone contains over 10 specialized topics under just that one single category.
And the sheer volume and specificity there dictate why individual registration for every single session is required. You aren't enrolling in some monolithic, prepackaged university major, like, business administration.
Right, where you take a bunch of classes you don't even care about.
Exactly. You are meticulously curating a learning path that fits the precise, often highly specialized demands of your current industry. I mean, the modern supply chain intersecting with religious compliance that requires hyper-specific training,
Yeah.
and they are catering to that reality.
It is like building a highly specific, custom degree a la carte. You just pick the exact classes that
Yeah.
match the weird, unique shape of your actual job.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to look at it.
But looking at this from the perspective of a learner, I have a question. Let's say you are browsing this catalog, you see a class on sustainable logistics, and you just want to learn the material.
Okay, sure.
If 1 hour of an online class registered through their calendar equals exactly 1 CPD hour in your bank, what happens if you just want the knowledge without the pressure of earning points? And frankly, what is the concept behind the cost here?
Well, the platform accounts for different learner motivations through its fee structure, which
Okay.
is entirely based on the level of administrative verification you require.
So you're paying for the paperwork, basically.
Essentially, yeah. There is a financial cost to this system. You are paying fees to have this knowledge officially recorded. If you want the basic certificate of attendance, which formally verifies and permanently records that 1 CPD hour in your digital bank, there is a set administrative fee. It's RM 150.
Okay, 150 ringgit. Got it.
But, however, if you are purely there for the knowledge and do not need the formal CPD recorded on your transcript, they offer a class attendance only option.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at a significantly reduced rate, just RM 100.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. You are basically paying for the translation of your labor into their official corporate currency. If you don't need the currency, you just don't pay the full exchange fee.
Exactly.
So if this is a bank, earning CPDs through their official Think Plus classes is essentially like earning a standard salary. You do the work internally, they deposit the points directly into your account.
Right.
But what if you have intellectual assets from outside their ecosystem? What if you took some massive seminar somewhere else?
Well, a healthy ecosystem cannot survive in a closed loop, It requires continuous input from the outside environment to thrive.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They have a policy officially termed external pollination.
Such a great term.
It is. Let's say you have taken relevant, rigorous training from entirely different providers, completely outside of the Think Plus bank. They actually have an exchange rate for that external learning.
They do.
According to the FAQ, 5 hours of external training can be converted into 1 CPD credit inside your Think Plus account.
And that is a deliberate friction point. By establishing that 5-to-1 ratio, they implement a strict quality control mechanism.
Wait, a 5-to-1 ratio? I have to push back on that.
Okay, go ahead.
If I spend 10 grueling hours sweating through some intensive external workshop on advanced data analytics, Think Plus is only going to give me 2 hours of credit in their system.
Yes, 2 hours.
That sounds like a terrible exchange rate for the learner. I mean, why would anyone accept that kind of deflation of their hard work?
Well, because without that deflation, the internal currency loses its premium value. Think of it like currency exchange rates between countries with different economic stabilities.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Think Plus cannot guarantee the rigor or the testing standards or even the focus of that outside workshop. They recognize the value of your outside initiative, absolutely.
Sure.
But by requiring 5 hours to generate 1 internal credit, they protect the integrity of their own ecosystem's credentials. It ensures that someone can't just spam low-quality, unverified external webinars to suddenly unlock a top-tier certification in their bank.
Okay, looking at it as an inflation control measure for intellectual currency, that makes the sting of that ratio a bit more understandable.
Right. It's about maintaining trust in the ledger.
Makes sense. But they don't stop at just formal external training classes. They are actually willing to convert your life experience and goodwill into this professional currency.
Which is huge.
The document outlines that you can convert past work experience, specific industry projects you have managed, and even corporate social responsibility activities, or CSR, into CPD points.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where their philosophy of a regenerative system becomes intensely practical.
How so?
On the surface, asking why volunteer work should count toward a corporate professional certification seems like a valid critique, like why should planting trees make me a better manager?
Yeah, exactly.
But the platform views community giving not just as a nice gesture, but as a practical, measurable application of social governance.
Which sounds a bit like corporate speak. Let's bring that down to earth for a second.
Fair enough.
If you are a listener who organizes a local river cleanup initiative for your company's CSR day, you aren't just out there picking up trash for an afternoon.
No, not at all.
You are managing supply logistics, you are leading a diverse team of volunteers, you are securing permits, and you are executing a tangible sustainability initiative.
And those are undeniably high-level management and operational skills. This platform argues that executing those skills in the real world deserves to be credited on your professional transcript just as much as sitting silently in a business strategy seminar.
I really like that.
Yeah, because you are applying ethics and management under real-world pressures. All of this, the internal classes, the heavily vetted external pollination, the complex CSR projects, it's all stored transparently in your account.
Like a real bank ledger.
Exactly. It functions as a comprehensive, verified ledger of your professional capabilities.
So imagine you've done all this work. You have amassed this wealth of CLTD points. Your intellectual bank account is absolutely brimming. What are you actually buying with it? How do you cash out?
That's the fun part.
The FAQ lays out a certification progression that looks incredibly familiar to me.
It operates on a progressive accumulation model. The hours you bank serve as the foundational building blocks for increasingly prestigious professional titles.
Right. And if you have ever played an RPG video game, you know exactly what a skill tree is.
Oh yeah, leveling up.
You earn experience points, and you spend those points to unlock a basic ability. Having that basic ability then opens up a new pathway to unlock a higher level, more specialized ability.
Which is exactly how this works.
The Think Plus Learning Bank functions exactly like a professional skill tree. You start at the entry level, which they conceptually refer to as the foundational soil. For instance, they start you at the advanced certificate in applied ESG practice.
And for context, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance.
Right.
It is the framework companies use to measure their ethical impact, sustainability, and risk management. It is a massive priority in the corporate world right now.
Absolutely. So that entry-level advanced certificate requires a relatively low deposit of just 6 CPD hours, and it carries a mid-tier administrative fee of RM 450.
Very achievable.
Yes. Once you have that, you can move up the tree to the professional certificate, which requires 10 CPD hours and a larger financial investment, RM 1500.
Those foundational certificates are the necessary groundwork, but the structure becomes highly rigid, formalized, and honestly globally significant when you enter what they call the ISO 14024 professional pathway.
ISO 14024. For those who aren't swimming in compliance standards all day, what does that actually mean?
Good question. So ISO standards are internationally agreed upon rules for how things should be done. While many people know ISO standards for manufacturing products, like making sure parts fit together.
Right, quality control stuff.
Yeah, ISO 14024 is the global standard specifically for certifying personnel. It ensures that the process of evaluating someone's competence is fair, valid, and reliable across the entire globe.
So this is where the skill tree gets serious. You are investing your banked hours and paying administrative fees to literally level up your professional character on an internationally recognized scale.
Exactly.
Instead of just endlessly listing numbers, let's look at what this progression actually means for a learner's career. You start by banking 16 hours and paying RM 2500 to become certified as an ESG personnel.
This essentially proves you understand the baseline concepts.
Right. Keep banking hours, say, up to 22 and pay RM 3150, and you level up to an assessor.
Because now you aren't just understanding the rules, right? You are qualified to judge if others are following them.
The evolution of responsibility is the key here. From assessor, you hit 28 hours and RM 3800 to unlock the coach tier.
Where you are actively training entire organizations.
And finally, at the top of that specific tree, requiring 34 CPD hours and a RM 5000 fee, you reach the consultant level. You are the ultimate authority in that pathway.
It's quite the journey.
But the system goes even higher than that, doesn't it? Beyond the ISO pathway, there are what I would call the heavyweight certifications.
Yes, the platform offers credentials for senior professionals that generally demand a minimum of 30 banked CPD hours.
Okay.
But what distinguishes these upper echelons is that you cannot simply passively listen to lectures to achieve them.
There's a catch.
They require a final, comprehensive project to demonstrate the actual real-world integration of the theories you've absorbed.
You have to prove you can build the machine, not just read the manual.
Exactly the concept.
Yep.
You have the Executive Diploma for RM 6500 and the Executive Master for RM 9500. Both require massive hour deposits, those substantial administrative fees, and that final integration project.
Wow.
Furthermore, they offer pathways aligned with the Global Academy in Finance and Management, or GAFM.
Another acronym for the bank.
Yeah, this is another internationally recognized credentialing body. The GAFM tiers range from specialist roles all the way up to highly specialized doctoral programs. The fees run from RM 5,000 to RM 10,000, and they require formal assessments on top of your banked hours.
Okay, wait a second. I need to pause here because the language being used could be very confusing for someone.
How so?
When a listener hears terms like executive master, diploma, and doctoral, and they look at the thousands of ringgit required in administrative and assessment fees to unlock them, the immediate natural assumption is that these are academic degrees. If I spend 30 hours earning an executive master through this platform, can I march down to a traditional university, slam my Think Plus transcript on the admissions desk, and demand they shave off a semester of my master's degree program?
You absolutely cannot.
Right.
And the FAQ document takes a very firm, explicit stance on this exact issue to prevent any misunderstanding. Your accumulated CPD points and these specific titles cannot be transferred to their university partners for credit reduction outside of the specific Think Plus Academy programs.
So it stays in the ecosystem.
Exactly. Furthermore, within the local context of the platform, these certificates are not recognized by the MQA.
The Malaysian Qualifications Agency, the government body that oversees and accredits traditional university degrees.
Correct. The platform operates entirely outside of that traditional academic accreditation system.
So, if I am the listener, and I am considering dedicating weeks of my life to banking these hours and spending, a significant amount of money to unlock an executive master, I have to ask a very blank question.
Let's hear it.
If this is not recognized by the National Academic Agency, and I cannot transfer it to a traditional university to get a real degree, why on earth would my current or future employer care about this transcript?
I get why you'd ask that, but that limitation isn't a flaw in the system. It is the deliberate foundational design choice of the entire ecosystem.
Okay, defend that for me.
This platform is entirely focused on generating what they proudly label industry-led certificates. The core value proposition here is actually a critique of traditional education.
Oh, I see.
Academic theory, while culturally valuable and structurally important, notoriously lags years behind the immediate, functional, bleeding-edge needs of the corporate world.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, a university takes 3 years just to approve a new syllabus. By the time they teach a software or compliance standard, the industry has already moved on to the next version.
Precisely the issue they are solving. The Think Plus philosophy is that their certifications are dictated exclusively by what corporations desperately need today.
Today, right now.
Right. They prioritize practical, actionable skills over purely academic theory. Their goal is to produce a competent person, not just a well-read student.
That distinction makes a lot of sense.
When an employer examines a Think Plus transcript, they aren't just seeing that you passed a multiple-choice exam on business ethics,
Right?
They are seeing a verified ledger proving you possess the specific, granular, up-to-date skills required to walk into an office and execute a complex role immediately. It is a credential of immediate capability, not a credential of academic endurance.
Which actually brings us to the most fascinating part of this entire document. In my opinion, how they treat seasoned veterans in the industry.
Oh, this part is brilliant.
Because if the entire point of this ecosystem is practical, on-the-job capability, it would be profoundly insulting to take someone who has been successfully managing oil rigs or corporate sustainability for 2 decades and force them to start at the foundational soy level.
Yeah, grinding through 6-hour online video classes alongside 20-year-old interns.
Exactly.
If you force a 20-year veteran to sit through a basic introductory module, you are not just wasting their valuable time, you are actively disrespecting their legacy and their lived experience.
Absolutely.
That is why the system features an entirely different pathway for them.
I like to call it the veteran bypass. The FAQ outlines a specific pre-assessment checklist targeting professionals in highly technical industries. They specifically highlight the oil and gas sector who possess more than 10 years of verifiable experience.
10 years is a lot of practical knowledge.
It is. If you are sitting there listening and you have a literal binder stuffed with over 45 combined hours of legacy training certificates, scattered workshop records, and professional development logs in fields like sustainability or technical excellence.
You get to skip the line.
You skip the line. The platform acknowledges that your uncredited labor from the past decade still holds immense value. You do not have to attend new Learning Bank modules to prove what you have already been doing for a living.
So how does that work mechanically?
You bundle up your updated CV, all that scattered evidence of past learning, and a detailed record of a high-impact project you have successfully managed in the real world. You submit this entire package for a portfolio review.
And there's a fee for that review, I assume.
Yes, you pay a review fee, which scales depending on if you are targeting the advanced or professional level. RM 350 for advanced, RM 850 for professional. And their assessors evaluate your history.
Which is way cheaper than taking all the classes. Oh, vastly cheaper. And if you are aiming for that massive ISO 1TN024 pathway we discussed earlier, you can bypass the entire class structure and do a direct CV to CPD conversion for RM 2500, jumping straight to the assessment phase.
And for those specifically entrenched in the highly specialized oil and gas sector, they offer Track A technical programs.
Right, I saw that.
These specific pathways lead to a certification from City and Guilds, which is a massive, globally recognized vocational education organization.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
It is. And the financial structure here brilliantly reflects the value of possessing prior experience. An experienced professional utilizing the bypass pathway pays a significantly lower fee, RM 4000, to achieve the certification.
Compared to what?
Compared to a non-experienced individual who must pay RM 6500 and endure the full comprehensive programmatic training.
Wow. It is a system that actually rewards you financially for the time and sweat you have already put into your career. The uncredited labor finally comes full circle and pays a dividend.
It really does. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? When we step back and look at the Think Plus Learning Bank FAQ as a whole, we are looking at an ecosystem desperately trying to bridge a widening gap between what universities teach and what modern jobs demand.
It's a huge gap.
It is. It offers a highly modular a la carte way to build a credential that actually reflects the strange, unique shape of your daily work. It allows for cross-pollination, meaning if you decide to pivot your specialization halfway through your career, the hours you've banked aren't lost forever.
Which is such a relief.
Yeah, they can be mapped and converted into a new certification pathway. But the core philosophy that drives every single rule in this document is a powerful idea. For a seasoned professional, your career itself is your learning bank.
And this raises an important question, and it is something for you to deeply consider long after we finish this discussion.
Lay it on us.
If a platform like this can successfully capture our past projects, our scattered external workshops, and our community volunteer work, and seamlessly tokenize it all into a verified, globally recognized transcript, are we looking at the beginning of the end for the traditional one-page paper resume?
Oh, wow.
Imagine a very near future where your professional identity isn't a static list of bullet points, but a dynamic blockchain-style ledger of your intellectual and social experiences.
That would change everything.
Every complex problem you solve, every new software you master, automatically deposits into your account and compounds your professional worth in real time. If that global interconnected system existed tomorrow morning, what would your intellectual bank account balance look like right now?
That is a staggering and slightly terrifying thought to leave on, because the X-ray machine